Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's passing it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Wow. I'll tell you why, but not until we're ABR.
Okay, ABR. Already being recorded.
Always be recording.
ABR.
So I have makeup on.
Yes.
Do you think I look gorgeous?
Yes, and you look hideous when you don't wear makeup.
Let
me be clear about the dividing line between those two realities.
Do I look like a porcelain doll? Do you want to make love to my face?
Yes, only. Like, I need you to have a little, like, wall, like, fabric wall that there's a little oval cutout, and you just put your face through that.
And then you could just fuck any part of the face in the hole.
It's like the opposite of a butterface. It's juster face. You're a juster face.
Butterface?
It's the worst. I'm really actually sad that I brought it up.
I can guess what it is. It's like you like everything about her butterface.
There it is.
Wow. America.
Terrible concept.
I feel like I'm the opposite of that. Butter body. You like everything about me but the body. That's how I...
Or is that you just eat too much butter?
It's that I'm made of butter. I'm actually a person. I melt a lot. You can't take me to the beach because it's just, then it's liquid.
Is it cake?
And you got to...
Have you watched Is It Cake?
Yes, because I know Mikey Day a little bit.
Oh, can I? Then I'm going to feel bad, but I have to say.
Oh, I'm excited. Do it.
I hate him on that show.
Okay.
He angers me. Like,
I understand.
It is like, I like him fine. Like on SNL, I think he's funny, good. He's a good like utility player. He like hits all the spots, but I want to punch him, and that is not a normal reaction from me.
I can't even say words. Here, let me give you a little context before we decide how much of this we have to cut.
Oh, God.
I went to college with his wife.
Okay.
And we were in the theater department together. We were tangential friends in college. We knew each other. We both did a lot of roles. We ended up being in different kinds of shows. I'd say we were both kind of alpha ladies who didn't. We could only be so close because we both were kind of alpha-y in our own little worlds.
Okay.
But she is like gorgeous and thin and was a dancer her whole childhood, and her parents loved her and they had money and they took care of her and they loved her. And she came to Amherst and like just was like mysterious and beautiful, and it just was like, oh, Paula's going to be famous. Everybody was like, yeah, Paula's going to be famous.
Uh-huh.
So then we all go our various ways. Another friend of ours, Jenna Lamia, becomes a really successful writer and actor. She's been in a lot of TV stuff. She writes right now on all kinds of TV shows. I should know better what they are. Good Girls was a big thing. She wrote for 90210 forever. She's a head writer on stuff. She's like hot shit writing wise. And then she was I'm obsessed with Dirty John. Yeah.
The TV show that was based on the podcast that was based on the
LA Time story. Yeah. And there's like 70 TV versions of it now. Anyway, she was in one of them. She's been on a ton of stuff. Anyway, the two of them were besties in college. I was like more in the weirdo girl camp, and they were in like the cool girl camp, even though we were all in theater, so we were all weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
We graduate. Long story long, I reconnected with Paula when I was in LA. I hated LA and was trying so hard to like find people to connect with and be friends. I was like, Paula's here, we'll hang out. And she had just started dating Mikey Day. And she had finished her time at the Groundlings, and Mikey was in the Groundlings and was like legitimately like 5 minutes before he got on SNL. This is when we were hanging out. And then they got together, got engaged, moved in together, and like we kind of went our separate ways again, she and I. No animosity, just like we kind of just never, you know, those people where you're like, we should be friends because reasons. You're like, it seems like we'd be buddies, but then you kind of just can't really make it work.
Yeah. I mean, your gates and channels don't line up.
See, right up top, high five it. Come on.
See that I just listened to our last episode. That's how
It's really. I mean, that's what I would normally say. I was just trying to be a person for a second and be like, how do people talk to each other? Anyway, so it's like it was always like, I love her to death. I'll always love her. I check in on her. I say hi on Instagram, whatever. So anyway, then I got to watch the sort of meteoric rise of Mikey Day, and I'm thinking like, I'm aware that his wife is like along for that ride, and she's like, she's booking her own TV gigs, and anyway, they moved back to New York because he's doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have like, you know, like we went to a cookout together and he was there, and I've been to her house and he's been there, and he's a lovely gentleman in my life. Not in my life, but like that I've interacted with.
Right.
A couple times.
Yeah.
We're not like buds. We don't hang out. We don't do barbecues. That's how you determine if you're really buds, if you're barbecuing.
Yeah. More than once.
Plural. Barbecuing. It's a gerund. Present time. Anyway, so I feel uncomfortable saying anything in any way negative about Mikey Day.
I do too, because I have no desire to dislike him. Like I'm saying, I like him on SNL. I think he's got a good presence. He's funny. And maybe I even recognize a little energetically, like there's a similarity. Maybe there's something that he's doing on that show that maybe it's just triggering to me, but there is something on that show that rings so false to me.
Can I tell you what I think it is?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I agree with you, but I might agree with you. I would frame it differently. Here's what I'd say. I think he's doing an edge. There's an edge, like a comedy edge. Like we're aggro and we're loud and we're hosting and it's an edge. But the tone of the show is sweet. It's about cake.
Yeah.
So I feel like you've got like bakers that are like, I don't know, I made a shoe and it's cake. Or is it? And he's like, is it cake? And the tone doesn't match.
Right. And I think that there is a sense, it's like he's doing a little bit of a Bob Saget and a little bit of a Jim Carrey. Like,
how so?
The Jim Carrey part is like, I'm just going to do a wacky voice when I say that the thing is going to happen now. And like bring the wall around. Like,
okay. Like you're saying it feels like it's trying too hard.
It feels like it, exactly. It's really what it comes down to. And it's a little embarrassing to me to watch that.
Interesting.
Like,
I feel a little like it's trying too hard, but it's not embarrassing to me. It's more like overstimulating in a context where I want like a librarian to be hosting.
Right. Yeah.
I want someone to nurture me
Marion,
through that show.
what's her name? Like from the other cake show, the sweet cake.
We want it to be light and charming. I don't need edgy aggro comedy commentary on the shoe cake.
But it's both. It's aggro, but it's like super innocent aggro. Like his jokes are all very like, I'm being goofy, silly man. He's almost like on a teen show or on a Nickelodeon show.
But I bet you that's because they've given him that note.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not him. It's what they're pushing him to do, and it doesn't match him. It doesn't feel like it's seated. This is what it comes down to. It is not seated in his body.
Huh.
It is a guy trying on a bunch of different hats, none of which quite fit.
Right.
Like when I first saw it, I honestly thought, oh, this is like the world's longest SNL sketch, and he's making fun of what a host on a show called that they made up for an SNL sketch called Is It Cake? Like it's a great idea for an SNL sketch, frankly. And he is long forming the character that you would hate on a show.
I'm very uncomfortable shitting on this.
Because you like him.
Very uncomfortable. No, because I like know Paula and care about her, and like that's her life. Like this is his job right now, and you know how it is when you're an actor and you book a job and somebody's like, well, I mean, I hated that play that Katie was in and she was pushing. Like it feels bad. Yeah.
So I don't know. We can not ever publish this whole conversation if you don't like, but I don't.
But think about it. It's like this. If somebody came on our podcast and was like, so this Rami person was in this play and like they were just trying too hard. And it was like the tone, they weren't seated in their body. And what would you?
I mean, we criticize things all the time. It's just you happen to know this person.
No, I know. I'm just saying, how would you feel? Think about it if it was someone you know and their partner, and I was like, it's trying too hard. What do you think? Like, I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I would be uncomfortable, but I also think the idea is then to get into the what is it?
Yeah.
So like, I'd be like, wow, that's interesting that you saw it that way, because I don't see it that way, and here's what seems strange. So this is why, if you don't see it that way, I'm interested because like I've watched it with a few other people and we all kind of feel that way. And I have no desire to dislike this person because I like this person and I like their comedy. And I don't think.
I just spilled water all over my machines. Can you give me a minute?
Oh, we're going to die.
Yeah, no, I happen to agree with you on, I feel the same way. I frame it a little differently, but I feel like it's trying too hard, the energy, and I can't tell if like they gave him a note or he's trying to do I don't know, the tone isn't matching. That's the kind of thing.
Exactly.
When I watched it, I was like, oh, I don't think this one's gonna last.
Right.
Because the tone doesn't fit itself.
Well, at first we were hate watching it, but then continue to watch it, right? So there's something there. There is clearly something that is working.
Oh, I love the cake part of it a lot.
I don't like that they stand 40 feet away.
And that's dumb.
With bad light.
That's dumb.
I'm just like, okay, well, anything could fool anything.
Right. This cup is a cake. If you stand far away enough, it might be.
And shine weird red lights that have shadows. Yeah.
A million.
I don't know.
No, I know. It's a flawed premise. And
this also has to do with the show, and I think it's the note they're giving everybody. The judges being so aggro-hyped with their own, like, what are we gonna do?
Uh-huh.
Like, what do you have at stake?
Nothing.
You actually...
Quite nothing.
You kind of want to not find the cake because you want the person to win the money.
That's the thing.
Because you're a guy that's working on a Netflix show down the hall. And they went and grabbed you because every single one of them, except for the Friday girl, is a Netflix star.
Okay. I didn't catch that.
Is somebody who's like, they're on the Netflix show Whoomp-Di-Whoomp. They're on the Netflix show Whoomp-Di-Whoomp. They're the host of this Whoomp-Di-Whoomp Netflix show in Rebecca Black, who recorded Friday.
Boy, I hate when you say Whoomp-Di-Whoomp. Can you never say it again?
Yeah.
You want to arm wrestle?
Do you want to fight?
You want to fight?
Are you trying to fight me? Are you mad at me because I insulted your sort of friend?
No. I just hate you.
Oh.
No.
Is it because you want to punch me in the throat because I'm trying too hard?
No. Whoomp-De-Whoomp. I don't know. I hate it.
And now...
You know when you hate a phrase for no reason?
Yeah.
It's not you. It's I don't know. It makes no sense at all.
No. And now
Why
you're
would I fucking hate that?
You're getting to the root of what I'm reacting to. It's like,
right.
Why do I hate
like,
why am I hating on that? I'm like, okay.
But you're pointing to something good on all fronts. I think it's something real, which is we are feeling the insincerity of the MO behind every quadrant of this show. Somebody is saying to somebody, well, there's no actual excitement here, so build in some excitement. And that never fucking worked.
Right. Do funny voices. Be extreme.
I think that's the problem. I agree.
I liked it when they made up a pretend cake phrase and tried to trick Mikey Day into
that was funny.
Thinking that was a cake phrase.
He yes-anded the shit out of that, though. You got to give him credit.
Oh, yeah.
I was proud of him.
I think he knew.
Poor thing. I think, yeah, I mean, but I do have the moment many times watching that show where they're cutting into it and I'm going, oh my God, that's cake.
Exactly. You lean in.
But it's amazing. It's actually amazing. I wish they would just let it be the actual amazing that it is and not put stuff on top of it. Like when you watch the Great American, whatever, Great British Baking Your Mom.
Which I don't really. I've watched a little bit of.
They don't put anything on top of it. It's just normal human drama. And maybe your cake falls and somebody's thing doesn't work. And that's as exciting as it gets. And that's why people like that show. Because there's nothing that happens. You like baking or you don't. It's okay. It doesn't have to be like tap dance baking.
And they help each other when they're not. Yeah. I mean, and this show is not cutthroat. There's no cutthroat in Is It Cake because they just trying to do their job.
Well, okay. Covered that.
All right. Well, that was a side note. Why are you all made up, Katie?
You want to know why I look like a porcelain doll whose face you want to fuck?
Yes. Wasn't going to frame it. We're having some conflict of framing here today, but...
It's okay. We love each other. I had a date, a morning date.
Coffee?
Coffee. It's New York. You got to have coffee.
Did you have coffee?
I did have coffee.
I thought you were going off the coffee again, or just temporarily you went off the coffee.
Up, down, on the coffee, off the coffee.
I got coffee.
This cough I have, speaking of coffee, I don't know, man. I've got a bad cough again, and I'm like, I guess it's the coffee. I don't know, actually. This morning I woke up and I went, I think I might have like bronchitis or pneumonia, like bronchitis. Then I took a COVID test because I was like, ugh, don't have COVID.
Did you say, is it COVID?
and then cut into it, and it turned out to be cake.
Yep.
My COVID box.
What if they made like a COVID, those popsicles that are the
Cake pops?
test things, but made that into a cake, make it
Ooh,
cake.
you could bite into it and it would be cake, but it would also tell you if you have COVID.
Yeah, there's a big stripe down the middle of the cake. Sometimes we try a joke riff, and it doesn't, like for me just now, like I tried to riff on something and I was like, it's not that funny. Stop. Cass.
Okay, you got to go down the road to find out.
Yeah, you got to yes and it.
So I, according to this test today, don't have COVID, knock wood, thank you, but like coughing real bad a lot. And I don't have any other symptoms at all. So I'm like, all right, I guess I have to go off sugar again and go off fucking espresso again and eliminate that, see if that's the culprit. I'm just so bored with the conversation. I just want to shoot it in its face because that would be more interesting than just going through this again and again.
Yeah.
Aren't we all tired of it? Aren't we? I wish I had like a heroin addiction or like a meth addiction or something. So this could be interesting. At least I'd be like, oh,
We made more exciting.
Fucked up when I come to tape. I'd be all slurring my words.
I'd be calling your friends in the East Coast and saying, you got to go check in on Kate. It's no fun. Yeah.
And they come in my house and all the lights are off and it smells real bad in here. And Squeezel's like eating my face. Would you eat my face if I died? I don't know if she could bring herself to do it. She's so sweet. You know, if I actually died, look at her face. I can't move it, but.
I mean, if she was really hungry, what would she eat first?
My fingers.
All your panties.
Oh, definitely the pantaloons. Good call. So the date. We had a date.
Yes, back to that.
I was like, it was such a toss-up because in the morning, you know, we had a 10:30 a.m. date. Now, one thing I like about this dude is we both are on the same page about mornings. There's a bunch of stuff I liked about this dude.
That only gives you an hour and change to hit the date and come back and get on the podcast.
Exactly. So there was that. But also, like, I don't look good in the morning, man. I don't. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm putting fucking makeup on at 10 a.m. So I put the fucking makeup on and I was like, I don't hate this. I don't hate it. And then I'm always like, whenever I put makeup on, I'm like, Katie, you like how you look a lot more with makeup. Why don't you just put a little makeup on? I just can't talk myself into it unless there's a date on the table or an audition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're the same thing too. Early dates,
true.
And auditions.
Yeah. Okay. Nice guy, super introverted, software engineer, cute, tall, likes to hike. We had a ton of like interesting things in common-ish. He like knows Miami. I'm from Miami. He lived in California, all over the state, just like me. So we have California stuff in common. One of his kids lives in Denver. I'm obsessed with Denver. We just had like good, easy banter. He wanted to do comedy. I do comedy. He thinks that's cool. I think it's nice that he thinks I'm cool. So it was just like a really nice first date. No drama. I can't say I feel, it's kind of like what they tell you to go forward with is like in the training I've had around dating, the teachings I've gotten are like, do not hang out with the ones where you're like, oh my God, I'm in love. I want to fuck him right now. I want to have his babies. You got to run away because that's a serial killer. It's a serial killer. If you have that much chemistry, it's too much chemistry. It's going to blow out. It's too much. If you go there and you're like, disgusting, hate him, he's the worst, don't hang out with that person. But if you hang out and you're like, well, that was pleasant, go out again and find out. Because they say with women like myself who are sort of dynamic and crazy and all over the place that you want the guy who's like in the corner of the room who you barely notice, that's your husband. The guy in the front of the room who's like, look at me, being charming and fun. Nope, it's not going to work. And the guy who's like a narcissist, nope, that's not going to work. The guy who's an asshole, obviously it's not going to work. But if he's quiet and he's keeping to himself and he's kind of lovely, he's probably going to be supportive, nurturing, caring, find you very entertaining. Then you get to be entertaining. He gets to be stable. Everybody wins. What do you think about that theory?
I kind of hate it.
Okay. Tell me more. I'm wide open. I'm so open. I don't give any fucks about anything.
Hate is a strong word, but I don't like I think here's what I don't like. I don't like the reductive placement of all of us into functional roles in that reality. It's not gender. It's just, like, oh, yeah, it's the sort of practical nature that actually says, like, don't pay attention to that draw. Like, I get the thing about, like, if you just want to jump in his pants, he's a serial killer. Yeah, have caution around that. But also, like, isn't that also part of, like if you meet someone and you're like, wow, this is amazing. I definitely want to be with this person. Is that not amazing? And you want to be with that person? Like
Well,
that,
here's the thing.
That hurts my heart to think, nope, that won't work.
That. No, I hear you. I know. A lot of things that hurt my heart turn out to be true.
No. Resist.
Sorry. So here's the thing. I learned this from people. I'm an addict. Like I have addictive tendencies.
Oh, right.
I have like fantasy tendencies. I've been addicted to all the drugs and alcohols and foods and sugars and sex and power and money. I mean, I can get addicted to shit. And fantasy is real. I have Pisces moon. Like we're the fantasy people. Pisces is fantasy. And so anyway, it's like with a fantasy addict, you want to say to them, okay, honey, I get that you're on fire for this sexy person, but oftentimes the person you're on fire for who's super sexy ends up being not sustainable for one of 5 reasons. And so it's not that it's bad, it's that it ends up being not sustainable for one of 5 reasons. And I could break down what those reasons are. But the point being, I don't know, when I look at like my 2 most successful relationships, actually my 3, they're all that thing I'm describing. And they were all sexy and hot. Like Eric is hot as fuck, I think. And so is fucking Newman Manfredson. Hot, gorgeous and hot, but also like sweet and quiet and kind of in the background of a situation but you get to know them and you're like, well, damn, put it in me.
I think maybe I might have misheard how you framed it at the top. I think I don't react badly to the for me part of that. Like the training you've received is Katie.
For me.
Katie.
That's right. Yes.
By the way, Katie, when you have this reaction, note this. That's the custom cut version for Katie. That totally rocks. Yeah, and I get that with you because you're an addict, because you have this way of, whereas I think of myself, like if I were to frame something similarly, I'd be like, no, it's the opposite, because I'm so like doubtful all the time of my attractions and feelings that if I feel something strong, that probably means something, that because you're usually so withheld. Like I don't tend to go to fantasy right away because I'm too cautious with my feelings. And so.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So I did, you're right. I did frame it like, period, this is what is, but really what I mean is for me in my life.
Yeah. And it's really good to know that.
No, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah. We all need customized dating plans, frankly.
And also to your point, and because I think you're correct, like I have gone, and this is like right where I'm at right now in my dating life. I'm always learning, right? What do I fucking know? I'm just fucking out here trying to survive with my head above water. But one thing I've learned is like, I kind of swung really far in the other direction because I do that, extremes, right? I went to like only chemistry, sexiest, the hottest, alpha male, the lead in the play, hot sex hot. And like, you know, lust is the, what's that word I want? Of the 8. The 8 goes to lust or innocence. And it's part of the fixation, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so then I like went to like, we're going to go wholesome and kind and spiritual. And I did that. And then I was like, wah, wah. Because I went too far. Now I'm looking for like, hold up. It does, like you're saying, to your point, I think there has to be the zing. The zing has to be there. Some kind of zing. There can't be no zing. But knowing me, I could go out with this coffee guy again, and 4 dates in, a zing could arise, pun intended. But if I need the zing, laugh. He's sticking his tongue out, you guys. But if I think I need the zing moment 1, I think that's where I'm deluded. So I'm waiting. We'll see. Is there a zing? Because I can't sell out the part of me that needs chemistry that is lasting.
Okay, so early on, when you start dating or go on a few dates with somebody, are you actually careful to not let them know that you have a podcast? Because then they might go listen to the podcast, and then they might hear themselves being described.
I thought about this very day, and my thought is, if you're going to deal with me long term, you're going to find out I'm insane, and I'm going to talk about you right away. So you better get into it. If you can't get into it, if it's too scary, it's going to not work anyway, right?
Right. Yeah.
So my thinking is, it's okay. Go ahead. Hop on the fucking pod. No, I told him he knows. Maybe he's going to listen tomorrow. Who knows? I got nothing to hide at this point.
Right.
Because hiding anything or don't show your personality at the beginning. Why? He's going to find out. And then what? I want to trap him and then flip it on him and then be like, this is who I really am.
Now go back and listen to what I said about you a month ago before I liked you.
I think it's too much.
Yeah. I mean, there is the possibility that you say something slightly weird and critical about someone just in the analysis of them. And then it turns out you really like them and you end up with them. And then they go back and listen to that episode. And they're like, so on our first date, you thought I smelled funny? Huh.
And then hopefully I would go, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And then he would be an adult and we would have a conversation. And if he had feelings, I would try to be kind with him about his feelings. But like, if I say you smell funny and then we're married and now you have a problem with that thing I said a year ago, that's really a problem you have.
Yeah. And now I'm thinking it through and I'm actually I know my own ego would actually be like, that's hilarious that you thought that about me then. I think that's wonderful. And it's probably something I should look at anyway.
Exactly. And I need someone who can roll like that, someone whose ego is flexible enough that, you know what, I had that friendship that ended. We won't name names, but I had a friendship that ended last year because the friend had such a hard time. The friend was always trying to control who I was friends with that they knew because they were terrified I was going to say something. This is like a 10-year friendship. No, 6-7-year friendship. They were so worried about what I might say about them to people we had in common that they would try to control who I hung out with and who I knew.
Oof.
They even talked to me about, this person tried to tell me what I was and was not allowed to talk about her with our mutual friend. She said, well, you can't talk about that with her. And I was like, I can't? Why? Because you said? What do you mean? And it wasn't like, you can't shit on me, because to me, it's like in a friendship, if you think it's okay to shit on your friends behind their back, that's already a problem.
This wasn't stuff that she just wanted you to keep in confidence. That's different.
Correct.
Right? That's like, please don't share that with them. That makes sense.
No,
if it's
correct.
Like, but
boundaries,
it's more like, yeah.
Boundaries are super important. If I say something to you, Cass, and it's like, hey, in confidence, I need to talk to you about your dad. Do you mind not telling him? Because this is going to be, I don't want him to, feel bad about what I'm going to say. That's different. This was, you went to her house? What did you talk about? And I was like, what did we talk about? The weather? Her dogs? What do you mean? Well, did you talk about that thing I said? Which thing? I don't know. What did you talk about? And there was just a lot of paranoia about, because to be fair, this friend had a fair amount of people leave their life because they have some challenges in their personality that people leave them over. And so they were worried I was going to say, I still can't pin down.
So they are managing their image in every direction.
Correct. With their two best friends who know them inside and out.
Oof.
So it was really just like, okay, you don't get to control, like, here's the bottom line. If you behave badly and then think you can manage that by controlling what people say about you to one another, you're missing the entire point. The point is, don't behave badly.
Don't be a person that people might talk about.
And that was why the friendship had to end, because I started to realize this person doesn't actually want to really not be a dick. This person wants to get away with whatever they want to get away with and then control people to not talk about it. That's crazy.
Wow.
So anyway, how did we get on that?
We were just talking.
But I wanted to tie it.
We were talking about
dating people and then having the podcast. Because if I were going to shit on that person that I just went on a date with, chances are good I don't want to go on another date with them, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you've said some like, this was weird things to about people that weren't necessarily like deal breakers.
Exactly.
So the this is weird part might come up later and they might feel funny about it. But like you said, if they're the type that can hang, then they're the type that can hang.
Well, I mean, you have things in your relationship, right? Where your partner goes like, hey, so when you blah, 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 I don't like it. Like, it's just life. It's just people having feelings about stuff. It's not like this person is an idiot loser. I'm not in like judgment. And if I am, then we're not going to date again anyway. So they can listen all they want and be mad about it.
Yeah.
God, I have a lot of caffeine in me. That's why I'm so confident on this point. Catch me tomorrow and I'll say a totally different thing. Let's bring Rami in.
Confidence. All right. Letting Rami in. Woot woot. What's up, East Coast?
You're silent, but you look great.
East Coast.
East Coast.
I only say that because Rami was just on the West Coast.
Just
I
on the
know.
West Coast.
I just took them back. Or I didn't take them back. Took them to the airport.
Cross the country.
Do you, Cass, do you want me, why am I, whoever.
Desmond's not here, so I'm apparently the chief engineer.
Robbie, you're back.
I'm back. Can you feel my proximity, Katie?
Listen to me. All of the plate tectonics are functioning differently now that finally Rami's back on the fucking East Coast. Cassidy, you stole Rami from me for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I did hit bottom. I was hitting bottom at the end of it. I got distracted. Life was happening. I'm going on dates. And then all of a sudden I was like, what is this vast void in my soul? Fucking Rami's not here. Where am I going on the weekend? Not to Rami's.
Amazing.
So anyway, I'm glad Rami's back. We have welcome back, person who is referred to most regularly on this podcast.
It's a delightful thing in my life to be listening to a podcast and then feel like I am actually like I'm considered and mentioned. Like, this is what everyone's podcast experience should be. I'm so honored. I love it.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's great. Yeah, I've never been mentioned on another person's podcast. I would love that.
I know you would, Cass. I know you would.
I'm a 3. Are you kidding me? Look, let me just say, people talk about reading reviews and stuff, and I don't read reviews, or I read reviews. Absolutely. I read reviews, and I don't care if they're bad.
Okay.
You know why? My name was in print. They thought about me.
Okay.
They didn't like me. That kind of sucks. I'm not as happy about it, but I'm also okay with it. They wrote about me.
That's nice.
It's weird.
We're all weird.
I get it. Yeah.
Look, over here, I'm like, if they wrote about me and it wasn't positive, how quickly can I murder them and in what way?
Right.
Because how can I punish them with vengeance and pain in their heart?
Rami, what is your relationship to being reviewed?
I mean, I know as a 9 what my answer should be.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't care, whatever, whatever's good.
I don't even know if I notice.
What's a review?
Okay. That is honestly like, I don't necessarily notice when reviews come out, or even when it's out, do I read it? Maybe sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But on the other hand, no, I do. Of course, I mean, we do all this work. We make these beautiful, as Ken Kelleher says, a director from back in the day, as Ken Kelleher says, like, we make these beautiful soap bubbles, and how nice it is to have something remaining from them.
That's nice. I like that.
And also, it's important to note that really you just used to read reviews to see if Robert Hurwitz, the former SF Chronicle reviewer, would refer to you as magnetic once again.
Or breezy.
Breezy or magnetic. Those are the 2 adjectives that he would always apply to Rami. And I feel like his son might have carried on that tradition.
I'm sure he came up with his own adjectives. Yeah.
Rami is both breezy and magnetic, which is, I think, a pretty good...
It depends on the character.
Yeah, you tend to play breezy characters on stage.
Yeah, there's a certain, so I play a lot of different roles, but there's like a consistent thing of this like leading man who's kind of I don't know, kind of douchey, but kind of like good.
Charming.
Swaggery leading man role. That's the breezy one. That would always get breezy.
You mean you're playing the leading man?
Yes, correct.
But that sounds like unbreezy.
The way I play it, though.
Oh, you breezing it up.
Like the ease. Like, okay. I'm so confident. I'm such a confident leading man. I lead such a charmed life.
Oh, wow. I love
that. I'm breezy.
That you're breezy.
One time I dated a gentle person in Los Angeles who described an ex. Okay, He dated a woman. Years went by. That woman came to his theater company and auditioned for a thing. He was directing the thing. And he said, I wanted to cast her in it, but she had gotten kind of blousy. And I was like, I need a dictionary, because what does that mean?
Okay,
and
can
even,
I guess?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It might be a physical description of their body, but it might also just be the way they're carrying themselves, which is a little bit like a blouse is a little more loose fitting and kind of a little softer around the edges in a way that's kind of like, and a little I feel like it's a way of describing someone who's gotten a little older and is maybe a little boozy in their energy. Like, hey, how you doing? I'm going to be in the room now.
Okay, so I associated it, because I didn't know what it meant, with body image. I thought he was saying she was kind of floppy.
Yeah.
And I was like,
way.
I don't like that you said that to me. Don't say that to me. I don't want to know about that. And also, I take issue. But then I was like, but I don't know what this word means. So hold on. And then he said, no, it's to do with, you could feel that recently this woman had a lot of alcohol in their body.
Ah.
Oh,
yeah, that they were a little boozy. They were a little like red-faced and messy and a little like hungover, maybe?
Yeah, I feel like it's a description of like an aunt, a particular aunt at a holiday gathering. She was a little blousy.
I appreciate, Cass, that you kind of nailed it. I mean, you gave some options, but one of them was the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of...
Yeah, it's a really great, like, now that you said what he meant, like, it is a wonderful descriptive word that he chose. I mean, obviously it needed definition, but still, like,
blousy.
Okay. Yeah.
He didn't say like hammered and disgusting. He said blousy.
There was a looseness to their rhythm that was disconcerting.
Yeah, something was awry. Anywho, breezy, blousy, very different words. So you guys just shared a very dynamic, wonderful family time with so many dynamics.
Oh my God, so much has happened since then. I have to remember back to that.
Oh my God. I also I want to hear about everything that's happened. We'll probably have to catch up on that separately, but we're here to talk about, I just thought of the family dynamics thing because you said aunt at a party. So we could talk about that. But really what we're here to talk about, Ram, is about our trip to Philly and the magical wonderland of the oracle that we are.
Word.
That's what we...
Right. Let's not get on another topic, because we've actually kicked this can down the road for like a month now, and we need to get it in there.
We're going to talk about the Ouija board, and then we just haven't, because we're like, well, let's do it when Rami's here. So, and then I was leaving you a voice memo, Rami, being like, well, between your lack of a memory and my lack of a memory, when we get this story together, maybe we'll have a story, because we'll each remember enough.
I love that. I love combining memories to, maybe get different things, but maybe the same story. Yeah, if Allison was here, I feel like Allison has a very good memory, but
so she should
listening.
Be here. Hi, Allison. Thank you.
If you're listening, Allison, call in. Oh, wait.
It
doesn't work like
we don't have that
podcast.
Set up. Damn it.
The number you dialed is not in service.
So, okay, here, how about I'll start, and then when I forget things or need, like, you help me.
I love that. I love telling a story that way. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Great.
We could do it later.
I want to hear your version, too. I'm so curious.
Could you do it like an old married couple on a porch?
I also want to do it like a one-word story game where I say a sentence and then Rami says a sentence and then I say a sentence and we tell the whole story. Well, okay, so Rami and I went to Philadelphia. Philadelphia has terrible streets.
Oh.
My car got a what do you call it? A blown out tire because the potholes in Philly are so hardcore. So we had a whole like sidebar story we won't get into that was like, get Katie's tire fixed. It was it's just a whole adventure, and phones were dying and we had to take lifts everywhere. And is the car going to be done? Am I staying in Philly for 4 extra nights? We don't know, but it got handled, and that was the thing that happened.
And we tried on some cool masks in the process.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
We went to a costume shop and wore crazy stuff and took pictures, and it was great. Rami has this delightful friend, Allison, with whom Rami in the past has done a fair amount, you tell me if this is correct, of Ouija boarding.
We have had Allison on the podcast. Allison is a former guest.
Correct.
Yes. And let's say that for the listener, you cannot believe what happens with the Ouija board in Allison's hands unless you see it with your own eyes. Like whatever we're saying, you're not going to believe how strong this was.
It is. And y'all know I do some woo-woo fucking shit. This is woo-woo land over here.
Okay.
Powerful, potent, light woo.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Speak on it. Mm-hmm.
For real. This shit was, I was stunned. Stunned.
Could we call it banana pants?
Banana pants. Just like Rami's sweater right now. Yellow and banana pantsy. Okay? I'm talking about Allison will put her hands on the fucking, what do you call that thing on the Ouija board? The
Cassidy, what's that thing called?
It's called a planchette.
Boom.
Drop it like it's hot.
Why does that make me want to push you off a cliff? Why?
Celebrate it, Katie.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'll call it a Whoomp-Di-Whoomp.
I was about to call that back too. I was about to be like, it's just as irrational as Whoomp-Di-Whoomp hate.
Yeah, but planchette is literally the name. I don't know what else to say.
No, that's fascinating. I mean, what else could it be called? I'm wanting it to be something pedestrian, like the canal holder. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's a planchette. Let's get over it.
The pointer thing.
The pointer thing. It's like what I hated about it, I don't hate anymore. It's out of my body. It was like when people say to you, they're like talking and then all of a sudden they say a French word in a really pretentious way. And you're like,
sorry.
You could have just said spoon.
Yes, I do that because I come by it honestly. It's still annoying. I think it's
not always annoying.
No, okay. I mean, like whatever. My dad used to do that, just like a Spanish speaker speaks Spanish words correctly. My dad would do that with French.
Oh, well, that's different. I mean, that's culturally
a child of Haitian immigrants, but and whatever. But it's still obnoxious.
I don't know. I was being a tiny bit I half hated it and half just felt like saying I hated it. I'm just being silly.
Do you want to know more about the planchette? Because I
Please.
just looked it up. The planchette is actually, the Ouija board was created pretty recently. It's not like an ancient thing. It was like a thing that someone made up.
I'm guessing. Can I guess when?
I didn't actually get that part. I just remember
The
that
50s.
piece of details. But the planchette.
I'm going to go with earlier than the 50s.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
I'm going to go with like 1890s, or 1900, like around then, when they were doing all that, like
ghost stuff.
All that ghost stuff. Okay. Now Cass has to look that up.
Yeah, now I need to know that. It was created in 1890.
1890s.
But it's based on a concept of a talking board or a way of doing similar things in a planchette, often has a pencil attached to it for automatic writing.
What?
Rather than like looking through the little window at the letters, it's for like
That's amazing.
It guides itself around, but it's the same basic shape and design.
God, that must be hard on the ghosts, to try to
cursive and shit.
Yeah, right. And then people used to write more. I want to say blousily before. You're like, what is that? I can't even.
They would put their Whoomp-Di-Whoomp on the planchette and blousily write around the thing, and then
it would have to be cursive because you can't take the thing off.
You can't take the pencil off.
I feel like if you put the pencil on the planchette, do you have to then tell the ghosts, "Hey, we're not using this as if there's a window, so we need you to write words instead of put the window over the letters"? Do you have to tell them, or do they know?
Or it was before there were boards with letters. It was just like a slate. I don't know what they like.
So
a piece
ghosts,
of paper.
they just knew.
Like when they look over, do they go, which kind of planchette? Oh, okay, you guys, it's the window kind.
Thank God. Okay.
All right, back to the story.
Anyway, truly, I don't want you to feel self-conscious about using words. Please don't. I was being silly. Okay, so the planchette. There we were. Allison puts her hands on the planchette, and speed, like you can't believe, starts to happen.
Wait, is it just Allison, or everybody's putting their hands on? But
everybody's got their hands on.
But then Allison does it, and that's when it sort of triggers everybody.
It's like, I'll speak to this because I've tried it without, so it's usually me and Allison and our friend Keisha, and who lives at the chateau, which is where Cassidy lives. Anyway, that's usually the three of us. And the one time Keisha and Allison went to the bathroom, and we were like, we didn't want to wait. So we put our hands back on, and then it moved so fucking slowly. It was trying so hard, and it was like slowly moving. But as soon as Allison got back, it was like, wee, blah, 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 back again.
Even when the three of us were working together, and if Rami would ask a question, the pace would slow a little bit of the thing. It was still,
Oh
yeah, it was very noticeable. And when Allison would ask a question, flip, 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 I'm talking about spelling so fast I can't follow it.
Yeah.
So fast and so intense. Like, you can go to the party and you can go tomorrow because tomorrow is the day to go. And she's like, it says you can go to the party tomorrow because tomorrow's the day to go. And I'm like, I caught you. That's all I caught. The letter U. Fast. Remarkably fast.
And if you hadn't yet asked your question out loud, but you'd already thought it in your head, it would still just start to answer.
Starts answering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, to add to this, what makes it extra cool, I think, is that, and you tell me if I'm getting this correct, Allison has this relationship with a being of light known as ZN.
Yes.
Who speaks through the Ouija board with Allison. So we were all hearing from ZN.
Yes. Yes.
The whole time. And I think the speed of the thing has to do with Allison's lightness, how light she is and how open and connected to ZN, and how potent and fast ZN is.
So, yes. And I just want to add that in all the times that Allison, Keisha, and I have done Ouija, there have been times when it's been another spirit that has been talking, but the majority of the time is ZN. Like one time we were in Amara's apartment and, we would ask who it was we were talking to. And it said like one of Amara's guides, which is cool because Amara is, fully in touch with her Agun, with her ancestors and stuff.
Was it as fast in that case?
I think so. I think it was. Or it wasn't noticeably different.
It must be about Allison then, her channel, her way.
I feel like it. Yeah. She's also her with a pendulum is equally astonishing. Yeah.
Well, so this brings me to one of the amazing things was that the speed of the Ouija was just mind-boggling. Number 2 was like Allison asked the Ouija, like, who's talking? And it went ZN, ZN, ZN. So it was like, it told us quite clearly. Number 3 was the whole time we were working, I kept hearing, so my psychic channel just like blew the fuck open. As soon as when we put our hands on the thing, I could feel Allison chukung lock into something locked into her. And then my channel blew open and I was like getting all this intel about everybody. And the phrase they kept saying to me over and over was, they would point to Allison and go, angel being. And they point to Rami and go, earth being. And they point to me and go, star being. And they're going, angel being, earth being, star being, angel being, earth being, star being, the whole fucking time.
That's the craziest version of Duck, Duck, Goose I've ever heard.
I want to play that game now. Or like Rochambeau.
Angel being, earth being, star being.
Yeah, what beats what? They all support each other. There's no beating.
And so I just was like keeping that and hearing that. And then I don't know, however long we did that reading, Rami, at the very end of it, I said, you guys, do you mind if I just share something that like they will not stop saying in my head? And then at the very end, I shared it and it was like this weight lifted off me. It was like, you can't leave this space until these people understand who they are and who you are. And then there was, I can't remember the order of events, but there was the awareness of the 3 of us together, because we are distinct in those ways, create a portal.
Yes, we learned that on the second Ouija session.
You're right. And part of the portal creation meant that none of us fucking slept.
Yes, that's right.
So we were sleeping in, so Rami stayed at Allison's and I stayed at an Airbnb across town. I was up till 3 a.m., 4 a.m. every night I was there. Wide awake, full of energy. Rami regularly is up a lot, but like extra double dog, right? Wasn't sleeping.
I felt alert. I was just like alert. No, that's not normal. That like state of alertness is not.
Okay. I mean, me either. I'm never that alert after ever. Till 4 a.m? Never. So we're pow, pow, pow awake skis. Was Allison?
Yes. I mean, once again, so in my case, I'm somewhat of an insomniac, and in Allison's case, she has a baby. So so she's often having sleep issues, but she did report a sense of that. Yeah.
Well, the reason I keep harping on that is that it was very surprising to me because I'm never up like that, except for when spiritual phenomena are happening. It happened a lot when I was in Memphis and they were working on my womb, the beings of light there, crazy. And they talk about the veils are thinnest between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. And so when you just wake up in the middle of the night, it's because something's going on spiritually. So the fact that we both were like, ping, 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 wide awake forever, I was like, okay, something's going on. And then I started to hear oracle, and then we asked, right?
Yeah.
And it was, anyway, so we create a weird portal thing, the 3 of us, which I love that idea. It's so fun for me as a person who's done so much shit on my own, where I'm like, other people, they create a thing together? What? I love it. That's fun. And then we haven't even talked about all the information we got that was like,
Yeah. So in that second Ouija session, when we asked about like, well, is there anything we should do with this portal, or what is the portal? And they're like, nah, it's just a portal. That was my understanding of that.
that's right. And I just remember feeling like everything, all the guidance we got was very clear. Oh, here's one.
I mean, and then I want to talk about like my whole entity thing.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
But go ahead. I want to hear here's one.
Well, I was just going to say, I always have this impulse to say the thing I shouldn't say, right? We know this about me. It's always like, well, I shouldn't talk about this, so let's talk about it. Because I always feel like, here's the real reason behind that, by the way. One, I do like to just do that because you shouldn't. But also because 8, Challenger, right? Challenger. But is because if there's a charge on a thing, that's where the content is. That's where the healing is. Yeah. If I'm like, oh yeah, this thing happened, there's no charge on it, then there's nothing to work through. There's nothing there. So you're good with that thing. Anyway, the short version is I asked about my mother, and as the listeners probably know, I don't talk with my mother. And there's been some awareness of, I don't know how much longer she'll be on this planet in my own sort of psychic practices. So I asked a thing about, is this correct? And this is some shit right here. The thing spelled back, there will be a need for hospice. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
It spelled the fucking word hospice. There will be a need for hospice. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then it was like, I asked like, all right, I'm going to be crass. And I'm going to ask, is this woman leaving me any money? Like, we sure had a hard relationship. Could she like help me out with some finances? Feeling like a tacky, disgusting horror show asking, but also like, I want to know. So we asked that, and it was like, the answer was so kind. It was like, yes, there is money because she actually respects and cares about you and wants you to be well. And it makes me want to cry even thinking about it, because believe it or not, I can actually receive love from my mother. I can receive it. Like, I feel that that's true. When Zien said that, I was like, ooh, it hit my heart. My heart blew open. I felt gratitude and I felt love for her. It's just that because on the soul level, she and I are quite tight. I love her soul.
Wow.
But our personalities, she's a toxic, crazy person. I can't, it doesn't work. But that's not the soul vibration. So, of course, it feels good to me to hear that sentence, like, because frankly, it's the closest I'm going to get to getting to feel that come out of her mouth and like get a hug or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that was really profound for me to hear that. Like, I haven't heard her say something like when my mom used to say things to me like, I love you and I'm proud of you. It was always tinged with, and I'm about to manipulate you and I'm going to shame you and attack you. So mixed in together with I'm proud of you was, but you're failing at this, or but you're awful, or you abandoned me, or what you just did made me so angry I'm going to hate you for 3 days and not talk to you and you'll never understand why. So it was always mixed with ickiness.
Yeah.
So I did all this healing work to like be like, oh, I get it. That's her and that's not me. And like it took years, right? So now, because it doesn't feel mixed with that ickiness. Now, if her soul says, I care about you and respect you and I want it, sure, I'll leave you money because I love you and want you to be well. All I feel is the pure love of that because the human is not in the room.
Yeah.
Tinging it with toxicity.
Woo!
It's pretty cool. So that happened. All right. Now, entity story.
Okay. That's really moving though, Katie.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm glad that you get to have that.
Me too. Thanks for caring.
It's interesting that it came out as a tacky, like, oh, this feels gross and weird, but it actually carries content that is deeper than that.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point.
But also money's nice.
Just like so many things.
So many layers. Right. Totally. Like who wants to say out loud in front of people, my mom's going to die, so let me find out if there's money in it for me. Like nobody wants to say that they're thinking that. The problem is everybody's thinking it.
Right.
So who's going to say it? This ate.
This ate. That's funny.
This self-pres ate.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, when we sat down, on a totally different moment.
Yes. So I want to just point out, so we did the Ouija sessions twice. We did it when we first arrived in Philly, and we did it right before leaving Philly, which is interesting to think about. Like, that was not on purpose. That's just how that worked out.
Oh, that's true. That's how that went out.
Yeah.
Can I sidebar for just a sec?
Yes.
Is there something about Philly?
Yes.
Because Philly has been coming up nonstop. So many people I know just moved there. A friend just moved back from there. He was there during pandemic. Like, Philly feels like the other city at this point in my life in terms of
This is also true in my life.
My life as well. I'm not kidding. In the last month, the first date I went on all these dating app dates was a guy whose kids just moved to Philly, and he's from Philly, and we talked about Philly the whole date. This thing happened with Philly's everywhere right now. Philly.
Denise is from Philly.
She is?
Yeah.
See? It's everywhere.
I was just talking about Philly with folks that I never met before yesterday. That's funny, in addition to.
In fact, the fact that you asked that is tripping me out extra because of how much Philly's been up in my life.
Yeah. I just keep noting Philly. Everybody, oh, yeah, I just moved back from Philly. Oh, yeah, I'm moving to Philly. Oh, I'm going to Philly for a month. Oh, I'm doing a show in Philly. Philly.
Well, that's cool.
I'm doing a show in Philly.
Wait,
You
what?
are?
Well, it's a reading.
But
Rock
still,
on.
But that wasn't me that's told you that, right?
no,
Yeah.
it's
that's
just
funny.
always there.
All the shows. Philly. Okay, so we get there.
Okay. Yeah, we get there. All right. So, I mean, I won't even talk about, like, we already had a conversation. Okay. All right. I'm just going to tell you my experience of the beginning of our Ouija session number 1. So we put our hands on, and it says, Allison, ask first, which it often does. And then I said, before she said anything, I said, can we ask who we're talking to? And then it said, bite me, go home. And then a few things happened at the same time. Allison goes, whoa, I think we're getting kind of aggressive here. And then, or something like that. And I was like, y'all, I'm feeling really strong tingling all up and down the back of my body. And then Katie's like, it's an entity. It's exiting you. And then the planchette went to goodbye, and it went goodbye. And then we, like, took our hands off for a second. Okay. That's my memory of that first moment. Do you have a different thing or a thing to add?
No, all I would add is that, and then it was gone and the tingles were gone, right?
That is correct. And we discussed it for a second.
Right.
And you and Katie, of course, having extra information about what was going on. Did you see it exiting me, I think, or anything?
No, my experience was like, you described what was happening, and then I felt into it because I feel a lot. So anyway, I felt into what was in your spine because you said it's in my spine and it's tingly. And then I could feel the aggro quality of the creature. And then I was looking at it, and then I was going like, you can go ahead and leave. Because whenever you, in the name of light, say to an entity, you got to go, it just does. Because the way they have power is just by being in the background and you don't know what's happening. Anyway, so I was looking at it, and then it went tick, the way like a cockroach would like scurry away when you turn the light on.
Whew. Uh-huh.
And it left you. And I was like, all right, cool, get the fuck out of here. Then the whole fucking planchette was back to being love and light and ZN.
Yeah, it was like the entity both guarded the planchette for a second and then bounced. Like, that's what happened.
It said, bite me, go home.
Bite me, go home.
Was it talking to you outsiders who weren't from Philly? Was it a Philly?
Yeah. Anyway, but then we got more information about it from, ZN and Katie, and I get a little lost as to who was saying what. But basically, based on the questions I was asking, it had been on me for about a week, which is really disturbing, and that it was related to the guys down the hall in my building, who at that point I had been obsessed with them for about 2 months. So these are in my building, on my floor. On the other end of the hall is the window and also the stairwell. So there's always folks hanging out there. And what I had come to realize at that point is that apartment belongs to a dealer, and it used to be cool. Like, the energy used to be cool. It used to be like, what I discussed with Katie later after this moment is what it felt like to me is that it used to be weed and now it's harder drugs. That's how the energy had shifted, like about 2 months earlier before this moment. And I was kind of I'd been obsessed with it because it felt dark and unpleasant to me and sad because I'd had this relationship, like a really positive relationship with this older gentleman. And then it had started getting like, he'd started coming on to me after 2 months of us being friendly. He'd started like asking for my number, and still pleasant, but I was just like, darn it. And then I saw him decline. Like I saw him not as joyful. I saw his energy get darker and darker. And so it was really weighing hard on my heart. And that's also part of this thing. It seems like it's harder drugs than it used to be. Yeah. So, all right. So it had been on me for about a week. It was related to those dudes down the hall. What else?
Yeah, there was a piece about that too, where I sort of crassly had made some comment about those guys down the hall, but inside of our Ouija moment, I was able to articulate, like, I was feeling protective of you because for my awareness of when there's a lot of weed in any one location is weed, although the world sanctions it now, brings certain entities that are not of the light, and they don't contribute anything good to humans. So I get cranky when people bring a lot of weed into a public space because like they're in your hallway and that's not just their space, that's everybody's space. So anyway,
and this was a conversation we had when Katie came to pick me up before going to Philly. And I was like, feeling kind of protective of weed. Not that I'm a weed smoker, but I'm from a weed smoking culture, and I don't want to, and I can't speak ill of the culture I'm from in that way, and just because I don't do. Yeah. So anyway, we'd already had this little conversation before we even got to Philly about that.
Yeah. But I had brought it up because I take it for granted that for no good reason that people know the entities that weed brings, but people don't. Why would you know that? And also, like, if it's not bothering you, who cares? Right? It just bothers me because I feel it immediately, and it's an invasion into my field that I didn't invite, that is now I have to go home and do work on that and clear it because you were bringing weed into the hallway. Great. So that's how it is in my space. And so anyway, when we were in the Ouija space, I was able to articulate that, I think, in a better way, in a way that made more sense, where I was like, yeah, so, okay, that guy, that entity is from the hallway drug weed problem, blah, blah, blah. And something I
have to say, oh, sorry, go ahead. Two other things that, no, you go. Okay, I go. So another thing that it said was, he's just lonely. Do you remember that?
No, but I believe it.
Yeah. He said he's gone now and he's just lonely, were two of the messages also about that.
Well, and that's part of what I was going to say, which is that what I got, and even can feel it now, was because you have so much empathy for what's going on at the end of the hall and your heart's so open to it, that being was like, oh, cool. Right on into your system.
Yeah.
And that is where I think there's something really good for us all to learn about this concept, which is to say, what's tricky, there's so many things here. One thing is we want to keep our hearts open all the time, right? We all want to keep our hearts open all the time. Yeah. And we want to love on the people at the end of the hall, metaphorically speaking. All of us are all trying to love the people at the end of the hall, whether that's whoever the fuck, anybody, your orthodontist, the bus driver,
Mikey Day.
Anyway, we'll get back to that. Point is, when we are open, and what happens is you, particularly if I may, the way you love, Rami, the way you have that Libra moon that's so connective, you have an organically connective way about you. But any human, connective or not, when we love on other humans, we open our field to receive them, and we open our field to receive whatever they're carrying. So this is where it gets tricky around people can think, in my case, people can think I'm a closed off, judgy asshole when I am keeping my field really closed to certain people. And it's because I see ahead of time what they're carrying, and I don't want that in me. I don't have time. It's a lot of work. Anyway, or I just have decided I don't want to do that clearing, or it's going to hurt my body and I'm in the middle of another thing. So I'm closing off consciously to not have to take that in. Now, nobody walks around like that. Nobody's seeing that ahead of time. You're just trying to be a loving individual who connects with a human being, right? So that's where it's such a weird, tricky thing. And in your case, it's not a huge problem at all because A, you hang out with wizards and they'll clear your entities if you need it.
That really helps.
That helps a lot. And B, you're so organically loving in general that I think you'd probably be like, oh, poor entity.
That's making me think about people that I know who are in the like intense service world, like that, help out at halfway houses or whatever. And that they themselves are often like, how do they have the capacity to do that hard work when they themselves are so sludgy? Sludgy meaning? So like full of just so many things going on in their heart and soul and body. And it's probably because they are an open, giving, caring human being who wants to work in this field because it's important and needs doing. But as a result, they have then been attached by all this stuff.
And some of them know how to have boundaries, energetic boundaries, whether they identify them as that or not, Yeah. Like some are going through too much. Some of them are.
I'm thinking about someone who is a former resident of the chateau, Rami.
I can think of two people that you might be talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a lot.
Most people I've seen in that field, part of what it is they themselves have a ton of entities and unresolved trauma. So they can be in that space because it doesn't hurt their body because they are of...
It's not extra.
They're of that same frequency. They're carrying it also.
Yeah.
So it's not a threat. It's part of their world.
Yes.
And or they're open and they're not carrying it and then they burn out in that field because they're getting penetrated by it all the time.
That's what I've witnessed too, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen all those things in people. I know. I've seen all those variations. Yeah.
That field is so tough for that reason, particularly with drugs and alcohol addiction, because entities are drawn mostly to drug use. Alcohol, yes, but mostly drug use. So when you get people into like hard drugs, oh boy, that building, those retreat center or the treatment centers filled with demons, entities, darkness. So there's a lot of work to do in those buildings, but you can either take it or, people stay, they go, whatever happens, right?
I feel like there's so much more to say about the Ouija thing. I just want to push us back to that narrative because there's so many good stories still to come from this.
Yeah.
Are there?
Aren't there?
I'm ready.
I feel like there's a part of how it reacted to Katie that Rami had shared with me.
Oh, yes. I mean, this was my own personal enjoyment. Okay. I do want to say this one other thing about this, my experience and the folks down the hall, which is that I've really, because of what you just said, Katie, like it's been a really interesting process for me since then, because I know those things. Like, I know that I am choosing to be open, and it is important to me to do that because I feel like that, because I'm going to speak in past tense. I felt like that was my job. It's like, I'm not doing all the socio-political work, the social justice work. I'm not doing all that. My job is to walk through the world and be open and love people. That was my thought. And so here was a case where I got fucked, like I got screwed by doing it. But I was like, I thought this was my job. All right. Well, if this is not how do I adjust this? How do I still do that job in some way while having a boundary about it? So that's what I've been ever since that I got back to New York. That's what I've been working on. I just wanted to say that part.
That makes total sense. I mean, I think it's about who do you do that job with? Like, you can do it. You should do that. I love that if that's your job. And it's just be aware.
Yeah.
Just be aware of who you're doing it with. And it's okay, too. What if you pick up an entity time to time? Who gives a fuck? I'll clear it for you.
Excellent.
You know what I mean?
Excellent.
The world needs you.
I don't think it belies that is still your job. You weren't wrong. In fact, you were right to do it exactly how you did it. And then, sometimes there's weird side results that weren't how you wanted it to go, but you still did your job.
Thanks.
I think so, too, for whatever that's worth. I love your job. I love the way you do your job. I watch you do your job. You're very good at your job. Now, that makes me think, I have to say, I thought of you last night in a class I was leading, and I had to say this before I forget. And then we'll go back to your thing about me and the thing.
Yes.
Okay, you know how I'm always saying to you, whenever we're in a channel space together, that I always talk, I hear myself ending up talking about you being this earth being, right?
Jace. Mhm.
And how I was like saying that Allison or the record keepers or whoever the fuck was saying Allison, angel being, earth being, star being, right?
Mhm.
Last night, so I'm leading this 5-week series through Oma, Pittsburgh, back to Pennsylvania. And we have like 23 or 25 people in this class, which
Wow.
is so exciting to have, because when you do energy work with a bigger group of people, things move really intensely and really fast because the intention is so big because there's so many bodies. There was a moment in the transmission last night where they were taking me through, like I'm holding the records, the Akashic records of 25 people, right? And like, that's a lot. And I'm clearing and it's, there's a lot.
I like the way you're opening, your arms are expanded right now when you're saying that. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because that's how big it is. It's like, if you can imagine infinitely, my arm going infinitely to the right and my other arm going infinitely to the left. That's what I mean with this gesture. That's how big everybody's fields together is. Anyway, they were taking me through, or I should say like different star families were coming in one at a time and being like, now the Lemurians, we offer this frequency. Now the Arcturians, we offer this frequency. And they would say words and the frequency would come and it was really cool. And then the star beings of Earth, who I don't think I was ever connected to in any way before you and I were friends, showed up and were like, and now the Earth beings of light bring the Earth, what are they called? They're called the earthbound spirits. And now the earthbound spirits are speaking. And I'm telling you, for 25 people, everybody's second and first chakras blew open, which is not common. People hold their shit in chakras 3, 2, and 1 because that's where the feelings are and that's where it's most dense in your body. So nobody ever wants to do their healing work in 3, 2, 1. It's where the sexual abuse trauma is. It's where self-hate is. It's the womb. It's all the fucking things. So I'm constantly trying to help people get down into chakras 3, 2, 1. So to have a whole group's fucking first and second chakras blow open was wild. I felt like I got pulled down through my chair. Like my whole body went, because my eyes are closed, down a tunnel through my own chair into the center of the earth. I have never felt that grounded in my life. I've never known anything about the earth to that degree that I knew. And the whole time I was like, this is Rami. This is what Rami is. They were showing me. They were like, this is why, or I should say, this is how relevant the light beings of the earth are. It's like, it's so important that we, as those of us who are like activating the light workers, that we activate the earth light workers, because I mean, I can't believe we haven't been talking about this in the spiritual worlds that I come from more, because without that grounding to the planet you're on, of course, you're not going to honor the planet you're on. You're not going to honor its people. You're not going to honor its plants. You're not going to honor the crust. You're not going to honor it. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so I was just so glad that they like took us there and like made that happen. And then I got to taste more of the potency and the importance and the significance of the earth, the light beings that are earth light beings like yourself. So you were with me last night in this class, just FYI.
Nice.
That's all. Earth beings, very important. And then we have triple Geminis who not relevant at all. Totally relevant. Matter a lot.
What that means. What is Gemini? I don't even know what kind of sign Gemini is.
Air.
It's air.
Thought, wind, wit.
Farts.
My godmother and I were just talking. She has 5 things in Gemini, including the 3 things that Cassidy has. And
wow.
And she was talking about how important like the ocean is to her. And she's like, yeah, I don't have any water in my chart. And it's like, and I was thinking about how I have almost no air I have almost no earth in my chart. And you're just saying all this. And it's like, I don't know, like astrology, like I have 1 earth sign in my chart.
No, I hear you. All right. So back to Ouija.
Yes, back to Ouija. So yeah, like what was a funny thing to me was that like, so I'm used to doing this with Keisha and Allison, who are, such gentle spirits. Like I'm the most bull in a china shop of the 3 of us for sure.
Oh boy, I see where this is going.
And Katie was hilarious because she was like, well, like
we were like fighting. Me and Zien were arguing.
Which is like, who does that shit? Who argues with a spirit? Well, Katie Rubin. And there was one moment where I don't remember what Zien had said, but Zien had not given you as much information as you wanted. And you said, and Katie said, "That's dumb." And Zien said, "Yes."
Yes.
And then Katie was like, "Oh, I have more respect now for this."
It's true. Because the fact was, what I got was like, I mean, look, spirits can handle a good fight. You know, I was taught in Sufi school, they're like, you better get mad at God. You better get mad at God. Because here's the deal. When people are mad at each other, oftentimes they're mad at what's occurring. And who's in charge of what's occurring? Not you, not me. You're mad at God a lot of the time. But people think they're not supposed to be mad at God because it's God on a throne of whatever. God doesn't give a fuck. God is the conscious awareness of all that is. So God goes, please be mad at me. One of my teachers used to say, like, she would walk up and down the beach getting drunk, psychic channel spiritualist, getting hammered on whiskey and being like, fuck you, Christ. Because, and she was like, and then what happens when you're mad at someone is you get mad and then it passes and you get sad. And then that passes and you realize the truth. So if you're not willing to have a fight with your romantic partner, you don't have a real relationship.
Well,
if you're not,
sorry, Cass.
in the sense that, you know, post-fight sex, best sex ever. And because it builds intimacy to show someone when you're not perfect. Same with God. And the whole thing about relating to God is it needs us to be intimate with it. Your heart has to be open and surrendered and bowed to God. But you can't get there if you're pissed. So you have to say to God, fuck off, asshole. Why didn't this relationship work out? Fuck you. Why didn't I get that job I wanted? And then you go through a journey with God who can totally take it because God is way bigger than our stupid little egos are. We're the ones who can't take it. God gives no flat fucks. God is like, bring it, homie. Anyway, so I'm used to relating that way to God.
Today's Katie Rubin teaching. So
for
good.
real.
So good.
So Zien is delivering some shit and I'm like, that's dumb. And Zien's like, yeah. And then I'm like, all right, fair enough. Because
Hasadiga Iboai.
What?
Hasadiga Iboai.
What is that?
That is from the Book of Mormon song. And the song is Fuck You, God.
Really?
It's a really irreverent song. I'm not going to get into it now. It might be questionable in terms of
it's from the musical Book of Mormon.
Not from
not
the Book
of Mormon. It's funny that they're the same name.
It's the opposite of what actual Mormons would actually probably allow to exist in their framework. But in the Book of Mormon, there's a song called Hasadiga Iboai where they...
What do those words mean?
Fuck you, God.
Oh.
In what?
In
made up language.
No, I think it's possibly that they got it right. I don't know where in Africa they are spending time. It is an African language.
Gotcha.
I'm just want to be clear that there are a lot of places it could be and a lot of languages it could be, and I don't know which one.
Great. Okay. That answers our question. It wasn't like some secret Mormon language.
No. The secret Mormon language.
Fair enough. You see, that's the thing. This brings this whole point home in that religions who want to control, let's be real, white people religions who want to control people with religion. Religion was made to control the masses, essentially. Religion is codified dogma around spirituality. So if your aim is like, make sure these people don't take our castle from us, or make sure these people don't eat pork chops because there's diseases in them, or make sure these people survive, whatever you're trying to do, if you have a religion that says, here's the rules, play by the rules, oh God, don't be mad at God is being one of those rules, that came from religion, don't be mad at God.
Right.
So the Mormons are, of course, mad about it because it's part of the dogma that keeps you separate from God. So you have to go through the priest or the whoever so that God is this mysterious thing. So they have control over you. But if you know you're allowed to be mad at God, who can control you then?
Word.
Nobody. You're free.
Free.
Yeah. Because if I could be mad at God, I can work anything out I have in my life, any problem. And then because human egos are always going to be like, well, we don't agree or we don't like you because you're argumentative. And I'm like, God doesn't give a fuck. So who are you? I don't care. Me and God are tight.
That's such an argumentative response.
Yeah, but that's my point, is that humans are so regularly blind to where they're coming from with what they're saying. People never know that they're actually just defending an ego position that doesn't even serve them.
That's right.
It's just, they don't even.
I understand deeply.
You get it. If they were to
Feel
think
that all the
about it,
time.
right. If they were to think about, like, do I actually want to separate myself from the person in front of me or find a way to connect? They would frame everything they're saying differently. And that's the point of why to bother getting mad at God, is because God understands how humans are. Humans got to be mad and then sad and then connected. God doesn't need that. We need that. But if humans could handle that with each other, we'd be okay. We'd be okay. You wouldn't have to go to war during the mad part. You just be mad, and then you be sad, and then you hug it out.
Right, and you can express the mad without being cruel. That's the challenge. Right. Is like, how do we feel the mad? That's the thing. That's the only place I'm going to push back on the, like, if you can't fight, then you don't have a relationship. Is if you can't feel mad and express that mad and be in the mad with that person. But that doesn't always look like fighting, I think.
You're right.
I think that's right. Like, that healthy relationship is going, I'm mad.
Yeah, not you're a piece of shit.
I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. That's fine.
Right.
But it's when you're projecting, you're wrong, you're bad.
Right. And sometimes that's a necessary step, that you allow it to occur until you work it through.
That's it.
But yeah.
All of that is implied in what I was saying, but let's be explicit about it. We're not talking about punishing people or being cruel or tacky or gross or mean. We're talking about, I'm having a feeling, I'm angry right now, and I'm even angry at you. I'm going to process it, or you and I, can we process it so I can get to not angry at you?
Yeah.
And then we together find our connection again. That's the whole point of it, not to punish.
Right. The together part, I think, is key on that. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people would take, that's all. That's why I want to be explicit, is I do think someone could say, see, fighting's great.
Well, that's narcissism.
No, it's not great. Fighting sucks, but expressing.
Well, but I have to argue that one, because depending on somebody's human design chart, fighting might be very much a part of how you do everything. We don't know. You don't like fighting, but somebody might have like a really fighty chart, and they might need a partner who could do fightiness, and they might be very happy together. That's
fine too. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just pushing back because you literally, and I will quote you on this, you said, if you can't fight with a partner, with an emotion, with a romantic partner, you don't have a relationship.
A healthy relationship.
Right. And you're talking to people who
don't fight.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about, okay, I thought we understood each other, but I will be more explicit and say, if you can't express when you're angry and be honest with one another about your true emotions, even if they include anger, then you're going to have a problem with intimacy.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I don't think that was implied.
I understand that you don't.
Good. We're good. Are we all good here?
Well, that's what I meant. And the reason it's important for me to say that is, if you think I'm actually someone who, like, No.
I'm explicating because I heard it as being different, and I don't think that's what you meant.
No.
So I wanted to make sure that was clear, because it is implied, but it is not necessarily clear that that's what you meant.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's clear now?
Totally clear.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, are we fighting?
I wasn't.
Neither am I.
But now it feels tense.
Okay, I'm going to tell some more things about the Ouija board then.
Wait. No, we can get okay.
I don't think it feels tense.
Oh, okay. I feel tense now.
Okay.
Only because I'm letting it move through my body, that I feel sad that you would think I don't get that, because we've talked about it so explicitly so many times.
I don't know what to say. That's maybe your ego hoping that I don't think a thing about you. And I don't think you think that, but I wasn't clear. Yeah.
No, I'm just needing to hear you say, I don't think you're a monster. That's
all.
all
I don't think you're a monster. I think you
need.
said a thing that I didn't think was totally true in the way you said it. And so I wanted to make sure that we both, you and I, understood it, but also that the listening audience didn't necessarily take it as that.
Makes total sense. I hear you trying to clarify for them. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're a monster, but there are times when you'll say a thing and I'll be like, that seems like bullshit to me. So that's why I question it.
That's clear. That's not.
We don't always agree. And
I don't think
so
we do.
I wanted to make sure, but we do agree on this one.
Now I think we do, because you understand what I meant. And yeah, it's good for me to slow down and articulate even more clearly. It's just hard sometimes. I always think I'm saying what I'm saying, but I'm not always.
Nor am I.
I'm sorry that I tried to move it along before this happened. I apologize.
Thanks. I just wanted to get here. I want to get to where, because sometimes too, if I'm just working through a thing, I just want to get to where I'm actually cool with where we are. Like I wasn't, because I felt, and then I was trying to clarify, and I felt like you were saying, Cass, like, whatever. I mean, whatever. That's your thing. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get back to where we're good.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to be understood. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
As was I. So I think that's all I'm saying is that absolutely I don't have a. Yeah. I think we are talking about an idea, and it's not always clear what we meant. So we ask questions.
Totally.
And so, yeah.
You shouldn't feel like you can't do that. I'm glad you did that. It was the way it came out. I felt like you were telling me, wow, you're a terrible monster. And so I need to say what I think I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So I can be like, hey, I'm hearing you say I'm a terrible monster. Can you help me understand that? No, you're just trying to get clarity on what I was saying.
Yeah. It literally was about the idea and not about my opinion of how I thought you saw the world.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. No,
I needed to hear that. Thank you.
I mean, and there are times when I'm like, wait, is that what you think? I don't think that's what you think, but this is what you just said. So let me be clear on that. Oh,
Of
no,
course.
good. I didn't think you thought that, but kind of sounded like you did think that.
Yep.
So, yeah. So for a moment, I'll be honest, I did think maybe you thought that. And I was like, that seems strange to me.
I see.
And I feel
fair.
defensive about that idea. And Katie,
That's
Rami
fair.
did too. Yeah.
I also, honestly, I thought that you thought that, Katie.
And say again what the thing is you thought I thought, so I get it.
That if a couple doesn't fight,
Yeah,
then they don't have a real relationship, a
Okay.
real intimate relationship.
I see.
And, Cassidy and I never fought and had a very, very healthy, long-term relationship for many years. And so you just happened to make that statement. And that's why I was like, wah, wah,
To
sorry,
two
Kat.
people
To
who
two people who
don't do that at all.
Yeah.
Who may take exception to that. That being said, when when our relationship diverged and then reconverged to a certain extent, it is when we express our fucking feelings,
Yeah, it's much better.
it is way better. 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's not
So that part of it's totally true.
Well, that was literally what I was trying to say. When people won't express their feelings, a certain amount of intimacy can't happen. I didn't say it correctly, but that is literally what I meant. Then it's not that you don't have a relationship that doesn't work. You just don't have a certain amount of intimacy. There's a certain part you're not sharing. A certain amount of closeness can come from being willing to share.
And it's a language question too, whether we use the word fighting or whether we use the word expressing our actual feelings in a real way.
Absolutely. I think that speaks to my own, where I've been afraid to share my feelings is that because the way I was raised, my dad my dad taught me that when you share your feelings, you're fighting. And then my dad used to say, we don't fight with people we love.
Oh.
And my mother would say, I know. And my mother would say, well, then I'm losing my mind. And then I was confused.
Wow.
So it took me a long time to figure out, wait a minute, is fighting, or can't you just be mad for a second and we're not fighting? I'm just having my feelings. But that's like a lifetime of figuring that distinction out.
And I remember someone once telling me, if they aren't fighting, if there's no yelling, there's no love.
Ugh.
And I was like, oh, ouch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't happen to agree with that.
Yeah.
But there's so many, everyone has, everyone's coming from a different,
And people are different.
people are deeply different.
I know
And,
some
like, there-
people where
yeah.
if there isn't yelling, there isn't love. That
That
wouldn't
is
work
true for some people.
That is true for them.
some people.
It wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't believe that as a blanket statement.
Right.
For them, though, they're
But
very
yeah,
Italian.
from their perspective, it is truth, right?
That's right. That's how they operate. I don't know. To me, it's a little too scary, but it's also scary to not be able to say, hey, I'm confused right now. I'm sad. What's happening? I'm scared. I'm angry, whatever. But so do I hear you correctly that when you guys reconvened in a new way, that dynamic shifted and there was more sharing of feelings, or no?
I think that's not accurate. I think that
What
over
were you
time,
Oh,
we always shared feelings. We always shared feelings.
got it.
We just never had
But
any
there
fight.
were times when those feelings got blocked up more and more and more. And then when we
Yes.
remember to
I see.
unblock those feelings,
Yeah.
we are more intimate. We are more emotionally connected when we are. It's true for everybody. That may be a blanket statement that one could make.
Sure. But we
It's better
still,
to express your feelings.
It is, but like we still haven't fought. We've said, I don't like this, but and
Right.
there's been more of that. But
That
maybe,
hurts, or that really cuts me.
And when one of us says that, it's so exciting to the other person because they can go, oh, great. Let's see. How can we change that? Like, how can we work?
Right.
I'm very,
What would
very
fighting look like then? What is fighting that you guys never do? You're like, both of you are we don't fight. So what is fighting?
Fighting would mean, to me, what that means is having two different perspectives that you hang on to in some way, or that you, at least temporarily, having two different perspectives that are at odds. And the result of them being at odds means that you are, I don't know, maybe yelling, maybe not, but like you are angry. I'm trying to figure this out because it's a really interesting question.
That there's the potential for an exit or a door slam and I'm leaving, or that there's the potential for a break.
And feeling angry at the other person because your points of view are at odds, and acting on that.
Is that how
Go ahead, Kim.
is that how you'd say it, Cass?
That's an aspect of it. I would agree with.
It's a really interesting question.
What do you think fighting is?
I don't know. I'm trying to see what you guys both are sort of adamant about. We don't fight. So I want to know what fighting means.
I've fought with other people.
I fought with other people too. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so what is fighting? I'm just curious, truly. I'm just like, so what does it mean if you guys never?
Okay. Fighting is combat of whatever kind, whether it's mental, verbal, physical.
Okay.
So it is pushing against each other. This is me coming up with this in the moment. This is me, like my mouth is, I'm just trying to. So it's like, there's a quality of pushing against each other. There is.
So when you say, I'm mad at you for this, that's not fighting because.
No, because then the other person is like, oh, I'm so good to know. Great. Okay. Thank you so much for telling me. I hear that and like, okay.
And I might disagree. I might be like, oh, that is not at all how I'm taking this moment. But that still doesn't feel like a fight. I think a fight, add to that an unwillingness to receive anything back, or that there's no conversation happening. That's a fight. There's usually that fight probably includes
escalation,
but I'm realizing it doesn't have to include shouting, but a version of shutting the other person out.
Word, right.
That's what a fight is. So a fight could be, whatever. Yeah. Is that what you think? So that's shutting someone down. My arms are crossed and I'm closing off.
Do you fight with Jeff?
Every once in a while, I will yell. And fighting with Jeff looks like yelling.
Okay.
And that is also me going, stop it, stop it, stop it. I can't hear what you're saying. So I have to yell to stop him.
The reason I asked that was because I've heard you describe some interactions with him that are matching what you're saying right now. So I'm like, that sounds like
Yeah, those are closer to fights. But fights, even with Jeff, they don't last. They don't become a thing that is then that I leave and then now we have this thing between us. I also feel like fights have remnants often.
Yeah. And there's something about a fight, like something about that blocked sense or holding on to your position. It's like when you're approaching something with curiosity and empathy,
or a desire to work through it.
Yeah. So if Cass expresses that he's frustrated, I'm going to respond with curiosity, empathy, and maybe I'm frustrated too, but usually not. Like if Cass expresses that he's frustrated, which doesn't happen that often, with me, but like if he actually expresses it, I'm so happy about it. Like, I'm so excited that it's, you know, that he has expressed that, and like, oh, great. I like, the thing I want more than anything is to like work on that. Like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you agree with what I'm saying, Cass?
Do you attribute that to your connection, your guys' specific connection?
Yeah, sure. It's who the two of us happen to be individually and together. Absolutely. It's this particular combo is that.
Yeah,
But
that
like,
makes sense.
but I do feel that about most friends of mine. If they actively express that they are mad or frustrated, I'm like, it is such a gift, you know, that they have expressed it clearly, right? And that then like all I want is, because I have their best interest at heart. I have their best interest at heart, right? So like, great. Now that I know, what can we do? You know, how can we, you know, and I hope that my friends they tend to do the same when I actually.
Can I tell you what I think I'm hearing you articulate?
Yes.
I think I'm hearing you guys say a fight is if you put your walls up and you're not looking for the connection and the way to get back to wholeness together. You're looking to win and be right.
Yeah, that's what I think a fight is. I agree.
Yes. Yes. Well articulated. Yes. That right. The goal. Yeah. Or the right.
The goal is to find the heart together again, to find connection. That's what I was trying to do earlier, to find Cass again, to find his heart again, so that our hearts could connect again and he wouldn't feel like I was, I don't know, separate from him, which is why to me it didn't feel like a fight. But I am curious if it felt like a fight to you.
No.
Oh, good.
No, that didn't feel like a fight. I was actually, there was a moment where I was like, wait, why are you still feeling the remnants of that? Because it didn't feel like a fight to me.
Interesting. That's good. I think, again, it's because of my history of when I say things the way I said them before, where I know what I mean, I assume you know what I mean, but I haven't said it in a way that communicates what I mean. And I can be so direct that it lands for people the way it landed for you, understandably. But people who won't tell me just leave. And then that's a fight, I guess. So it's just very important to me. And I'm so open to like, let's get clear on what everybody actually meant so we can be together again and not be separate in our hearts. And so it's nice talking to you guys about what is the definition of a fight. Because again, the last thought, I'm just thinking of that thing my dad said, where I think my dad just had a fundamental misunderstanding because of his childhood and how angry his mother was. His mom was like really rage addict, I guess. He learned to believe if you have your feelings, you're fighting. So anyway, I've just spent a lifetime working through like, what is it to fight? What is it to have a feeling and get through it and connect versus fight?
Which is where our fundamental misunderstanding occurred 20 minutes ago, because I'm curious what you mean when you say.
I just meant have your feelings.
Yeah.
Be angry. Just if you go, that's why I'm saying to you that my dad taught me this thing where in my head it gets conflated. Oh, I'm angry with you, Rami, means we're fighting. It doesn't. From your guys' definition, it means I'm stating how I feel and we're going to find a way back to connection because I'm going to own my stuff and you're going to own your stuff and we're going to find out what happened just now. I often find too, when there's conflict with people, 9 times out of 10, there's a misunderstanding. So the work 9 times out of 10 is like, slow down, breathe, open your heart, and just clarify until everybody understands that, oh, I thought it was this, but it's actually this. I find that a lot. Do you guys find that in conflicts? I think I always attribute that to my 8-ness, that like, oh, wait, let me back up. Let me show them what I meant.
Oh, all the way, like almost completely. It's also just a fundamental disconnect sometimes of communication modes, where it's like,
right.
You made a statement that was clear and bold and blankety that I misunderstood. And my way, almost maddeningly so, is to wait, let me make sure that you understand exactly what I mean, because before I even say it, because I need to make sure that I'm never being misunderstood. So like, it's rarer for me because I don't make strong blanket statements because that's how I am. And so if there's a disconnect, like when I fight with Jeff, and they're brief, so they don't last, so they stop being fights pretty quick. but I would call them fights because he will make a blanket statement and I will rage against the format of that statement. But then I will need to be right rather than go, wait, what do you mean? I will need to say what you said is wrong until I work through that energy. And then when I get to the other side of it, it stops being a fight because I'm like, wait, you didn't actually even mean that. You just said that, but that's not what you meant.
Yeah. Misunderstandings. It is interesting. Bold statements. Yeah, it's good. This is good education. I feel good. Did we cover everything we wanted to cover on the Ouija?
With the Ouija.
I mean, there was so much more. There was.
Why can't I? What more was there? Just give me a little snippet.
Just list all the little teeny bit tidbits for the next 5 minutes, even though we're way over time.
Okay, there was the whole food poisoning thing, the check your phone that started our second Ouija.
You have to tell that story. Oh my God, it's so good.
Then there was the whole rope and Rami thing, which is why I'm here right now. You know, like there's just...
Wait, we can tell both of those in 10 minutes. We have till 2, don't we?
Well, technically, we have all the time we want. We're just like, we're way over an hour and a half right now. Sorry, Des.
So, will you tell one and I'll tell the other?
Excellent. Yes, good. Okay, I'm telling, right, that makes sense. Okay, Sunday night, I ended up having food poisoning. Our plan was to leave, to do Ouija Monday morning and then leave. And so then on Monday morning, I told Katie, and Katie was like, oh God, is it contagious? Are you sure it's food poisoning? I was like, I don't know. And then Katie was like, do I have your permission to go in your records to find out if you're contagious? Because we had to drive back together. So anyway, I wasn't contagious. So Katie arrives and we're like futzing around in the kitchen, getting ready to do Ouija. Allison's got some stuff to do. And I'm sitting there starting to feel a bit worse. And I go, I don't know how this is going to go.
Rami gets down on the floor.
And yes, so I'm like, I'm just going to lie down. They're like, go lie down. I'm like, okay, but I'm lying down right here because I want to be part of this. So I lay down on the floor in the kitchen, and we weren't sure that it was food poisoning yet. But when Katie and Allison put their fingers on it, it said, check your phone. And so Allison checked her phone and she's like, it was the cabbage pastry, because
the text that had come through on Allison's phone in that moment was from the person who had delivered food to them the night before to Allison and Rami. But
I was the only one who ate it.
Rami had eaten. So the person texting Allison is saying, I have food poisoning, FYI, and I ate those cabbage things. And we had just said,
no, that person didn't even know it was from the cabbage pastry. They just told Allison they had food poisoning. And Allison told them days later, hey, by the way, it was the cabbage pastry. I know because Rami also ate it and got food poisoning. So it turns out, we didn't know this, but turns out.
Yeah, so the Ouija goes, check your phone. And Allison checks her phone, and then somebody answered our question, does Rami have food poisoning?
Yes. And then it was like, okay, Rami's done. No more questions for Rami. Rami just rest. Just Katie and Allison asked.
That's right. It said that to Rami. That's right. God, I forgot that.
But it was pretty cool to be lying on the floor right next to them while they were doing it and like hear all the amazing things. Both had lots of family stuff come through during that. So then Katie asked a question.
What's this one? I forgot already. What was it?
About you had this idea that the podcast was going to be wildly successful. What's, like, is that true? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, well, it's that I had a psychic tell me 6 different times. She keeps telling me. And then I'm always weirdly trying to tell Cass and Des, like, guys, just stick it out with me. Just stick it out. Barbara said, or Beverly said, which is crazy and weird that I'm like, don't bail on the podcast. We're going to go places.
We're still here.
Thank you. I just get paranoid sometimes. I'm like, do they hate this? Are they miserable? Let's tell them it's going to be good. Tell them it's going to be good.
We've gone over 90 minutes. Desmond's going to quit. Nah.
So she keeps telling me this whenever we work together. And I, of course, want to believe that. So I asked to the whatever, Zien on the Ouija board, like, hey, I can't remember. Maybe you remember. What did I say? Like, is that true? What Beverly said?
Yeah. And it said maybe.
It said maybe. Right. And then I go, what can I do? Is there anything I can do? This is all about you, Cass. Is there anything I could do to change it from a maybe to a definitely? And it said, yes, rope in Rami.
It did say that. Now, before it said that, there was another thing where it said answer for Cassidy. Do you remember that? But we didn't really understand what that meant about the maybe.
That's right. It said maybe. And I said, what does that mean? Angrily at it, fighting with it. Or just sharing my feelings. I don't know. So I said, what does that mean, sassily? And it said, answer for Cass. And we were like, huh? None of us understood what that meant. And then I said, does that mean like it's a maybe that it'll be successful for Cass, but not for me? And then I don't remember what it said about that. And then I said, well, what takes it from a maybe to a definite? And it said, rope in Rami. And I was like, but Rami's already roped in.
This is what I also said from the floor. Yes.
Right. I'm already roped in. I'm referred to all the time. I've been on there all the time.
I got a special title, best friend of podcast.
BFOP.
So then when we were driving home, I kept having like, or wherever, days later, I don't know, I kept texting you and being like, and I still have ideas all the time. I'm like, how can we create a cool Rami guest spot that's regular? And I came up with one idea was like Rami's rules. And Rami comes on and says things that have nothing to do with rules or about like breaking rules or something. I don't know. Like, what if there's like a weekly
or even like a monthly, like a feature that we have, which is like advice column or perspectives from the field, something.
Yes.
Then you all have to do like a theme song for me.
Yeah.
So like you have to
we'll
improvise.
Get that written.
Improvise a theme song for it.
1,000,000%. Like what are they called? The field people on The Daily Show? The field reporters? That's you. You're in the field. You come out, you go, here's what we learned in the field.
Wait, is it going to be Garfield strips?
Strips of Garfield wisdom, very possible. Or just information about fields.
Lavender fields. We talked about a lavender field day before yesterday.
We did.
Really?
Yeah, and half
what
of
about
May, we had it wasn't much to it. I don't know.
God, I miss California. How was it? How was it being out there? I know a million things happened, but like, how was it gist? Can you gist it or is it hard to gist it?
Oh,
God, that's a whole other level of tale.
Yo, that's why I said it's a lot has happened since then. When you talked about our Shasta trip, because it's like.
I almost feel like that should maybe be next week's episode is just interview Rami about your visit because some shit went down.
Action-packed 2.5 weeks for sure.
The SoCal stuff with the person getting attacked on the street is a thing.
The emergent awareness.
Not on it. No, we were eating pupusas. We were sitting at a table eating pupusas on the street. Yeah, but still, yes. Mellowly enjoying. Yeah, no, just so much like beautiful. Just everything was a big event. Like nothing was just casual. I mean, there were moments of casual. They were lovely too. But like, if I were like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, it would, we'd just be here all day. Yeah.
All right. So it's jam-packed, full of life.
Jam-packed. And I really, really, a lot of things just exceeded my expectations. I just had a wonderful time. I was so resistant energetically to going. And then I just let go of that when I thought about nature. And also knew I would just have a wonderful time with the people and everything, but it was wonderful. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on to Rami's Rules today and sharing your rules with us that are not rules in any way. The reason I keep loving that idea is you're the least rulesy person. You're like
yeah.
That's what I love about it, that it's so not, you would never come onto a thing and be like, here are the rules.
Could we call them Gabrielle's guidelines?
Ooh,
hey.
There you go.
Before we let this go, I just want to add this one thing in case you have anything to say about it.
Yeah.
Which is that we also found out who ZN was. And I think that's interesting because we found out that ZN is an ascended master, but never had human form. And you were like, I've never heard of that before or something.
God, that reads so big when you say it right now.
Oh, wow.
It's really big. Yeah. That's so cool. I want to explore that more in the records sometime. Yeah, that was unique. I remember that. You're right. So much happened in these conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Part 4. We got part 3 and 4 of this whole.
Okay. Of this series of Rami's Road Rules.
It's funny because next week we're doing part 2 of Sam because we had so much more of Sam that we wanted to have. Yeah.
And he's coming back?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't know he was coming back.
Yeah. We set it up.
I'm so the worst. That's amazing.
Welcome to Katie's the Worst, which is my opinion of her. so that she leaves
No.
feeling bad.
No, it'd be Katie's a monster. Can you go with Katie's a monster?
Because I think that is your
monster.
greatest fear, is that
Is it
people
true?
think you're a monster.
It's really true. It's true.
You are not.
Thank you. I love you.
And then I'm thinking about all the fabulous ways to be a monster.
Oh.
Oh, like Where the Wild Things Are type of monster.
Yeah.
Max.
One time we need to get on here and look at I'm enjoying right now thinking about I'm so aware of what Rami's incarnation cross is, and everything out of Rami's mouth is of their incarnation cross. And I want to look at what your incarnation cross is, Cass.
I'm curious
And
about
then we
that.
have to read what mine is, because
Yeah.
that'll be
I don't know
an
what that means.
interesting.
I'm excited to hear.
It's a foundational human design idea. Okay,
You know,
everybody's
it's basically a foundation of human design. Whatever.
You know.
no big deal. It's
Just
just,
whatever it is.
just blow it off. It's fine.
All right.
I'm
you
a
guys are
monster.
the best
Do your
people.
work. Do your work. We're all monsters in an adorable way.
We are all monsters.
It's true.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so
much. Thanks for coming back.
You asking for all of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.